surrounded by fans,
appropriate.
cheering on your favorite team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be frustrating between the login screens, the prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating, but that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee, meaning you always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best prices, plus all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Game Time today.
Spencer German just told me he hates Dean Wade also.
He did not. Spencer, welcome. We apologize in advance for the gnat that might buzz your tower during your appearance here.
Well, you know what,
Dean Wade? For a month.
Yeah.
I've watched him grow from a baby gnat to what looks like a small fly now.
Yeah.
So we apologize in advance.
By the way, I'm not surprised Dean Wade played well because the smaller the moment, the better he plays, right?
You know what?
Like in the playoffs, he's the worst NBA player. He's the Austin Hedges of the playoffs. Regular season, he's serviceable. Preseason, he's a superstar because there's no pressure.
He'll always have that Celtics game from a couple years
That's exactly right. That's what he's living on.
Where the Kelsey brothers were in town and he went bonkers. And
That's what he's living on.
10 threes.
That's true.
Well, at least we got Dylan Gabriel. Thoughts?
You're never going to get him, Jay.
I will get him.
He is savvy. He's cold.
I'll get him.
Spencer, what are your thoughts on Dylan Gabriel so far?
Yeah, listen, I think there's obviously room for improvement, right? I think that's pretty obvious. I think anybody that was expecting him to just come in and be great immediately, I think was misguided. He's a third-round pick. Mm-hmm. He's a rookie. There was going to be some growing pains. I think Sunday was a hard game to evaluate him on. And it's not to say that there's not things that he could have done better. As I've gone back and watched, like there were certainly some moments he missed guys. I think he misses David Njoku quite a bit already in these first two games. There's moments where
take that
he
sack.
kind of comes open. Yeah, he can't take that
in the red zone.
Exactly. Like there's certain things that you can tell are rookie growing pains. But Sunday was just hard because I felt like every time he dropped back to pass, he was under duress. And that's an offensive line issue. He was hit 16 times. I think as a quarterback, obviously, especially a young quarterback, that speeds up your clock, right? Where you sometimes think there's pressure there, that's not. So I think there's a lot going wrong right now. And listen, hopefully this week gives him an opportunity to be a little bit more comfortable back there and play better.
Yeah.
I don't know that I think he's going to be the future starting franchise quarterback for this team at this point. But, I think it's hard to put a lot of what's gone wrong these last 2 weeks totally on him.
I think it's very fair. You got to judge him on the scale. He's a third-round pick.
Yeah.
They had 17 rushing plays. He got hit 16 times.
Yeah.
That's a losing formula no matter what. Did you notice the play in which the Browns defense had only 10 guys on the field?
In real time, no.
I didn't either.
And then I was going back through and watching, I kind of caught that. And, it's funny. I think there was an interesting conversation we had about that because it's like 10 guys on the field I think is inexcusable. Like if you get 12 and you get the penalty, okay. Like
it's
that
as
happens.
bad as the pre-snap penalties.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing?
And you got to know in that moment like who's supposed to be out there. I think if I went back and looked, I think it was Tyson Campbell that was missing. I tried to sort of identify who was actually out there, and Tyson was the one who I think was missing on the play.
Yeah, there's one safety back there, right?
And I think the other safety is actually over guarding the other receiver.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
So I think, or actually, I guess the other safety is number 5 right there. But either way, because that's
if it is the new guy, I mean, does that kind of explain
to a degree?
Maybe he didn't know what package he didn't know.
But that's something right where like the coach has got to catch it.
Yeah,
right?
You got to say it.
And for as much as we hold Jim Schwartz in so much esteem, like that's a thing you got to catch in real time. Is that we only have 10 guys out there.
And
the play didn't go. I mean, the play was a pretty good game for Pittsburgh, but like it didn't cost you a touchdown. So okay, but still, like it's inexcusable. I agree.
And Spencer, there's two things that I can find fault with. One, that you put 10 guys out there in the huddle and then on the field. Someone's got to catch it. Yeah. Someone's got to say, whoa, time out. Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen on that play. They end up gashing us on that play, but.
Yeah.
I mean, just those little things. Bull said Bull was funny. He goes, "We missed it because there were too many other fires."
Yeah.
We're too. Yeah. There's so much to be critical of with this team that we're missing things like if that happens to a Steelers team and they give up a big play that leads to a field goal that costs them a loss, they want someone fired over there.
Mm. It's funny you bring up like the counting thing. Not to be the guy who like touts my illustrious high school career, but I remember like one of the things at practice was always like whoever was the middle linebacker, he'd get in front of us to make the call and he would count everybody out and be like, all right, we got 11. So it's one of those fundamental things, right? And to your point, Jay, like that's the problem with this team right now it's the fundamental stuff. It's having 10 guys in the field for a play. It's The penalties, which have gotten, I think, gradually there's been more and more of them as the season's gone on.
Yeah.
It's with blocking things,
that's
guys
win or
missing
lose,
guys.
in the margins.
But wait a second.
And that's football. That's the NFL, right?
That's it.
We can't gloss over the fact that Spencer German, who looks like he weighs like 80 pounds, was playing middle linebacker.
Well, I wasn't playing middle linebacker.
No.
But I was a corner, and I was in the huddle. when they were counting.
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
I was like, man, your football team must have been no good if you're playing middle
I was
linebacker
like,
your
man, I had a
size.
lot of respect for you. I'm like, you stopping to dive? You stopping to run, Spence?
Damn.
That's crazy.
All right.
I'm going to tell you, this just hit me, and I don't know, I'll be in the moment. And I'm going to see how you feel about this. Even if Kevin Stefanski, right, somehow makes this miraculous turnaround, if we get into a playoff game or we're playing in the playoffs, we all agree that Kevin Stefanski will cost you in a game. Do you actually think that he is somehow like going to turn it around to a point where if the Browns are good in meaning football games, like games against other top coaches, that he can actually eliminate everything that's wrong with him now? I think we've already seen the peak.
I don't know that I agree that if the talent was better, that he would cost you. I've always felt like, I've said this a million times, there's a few excellent coaches, a few terrible coaches, and everyone else is in the middle. I think he's kind of more in that middle. So I don't know that he necessarily cost you, but you feel that way. Well, how do you feel?
I agree with you, Bull, in that I don't know if we've seen enough moments where it's like a tight game down the stretch. How does he handle that to know for sure that he would just completely botch it and you lose the game? But that's also part of the problem, right? Is there's not enough of those moments to evaluate it on because the team hasn't been very good the last couple of years. There was 2023, and to me, at this point, the one thing Kevin really can hang his hat on is that 2023 season where he kept that team together despite all the quarterback injuries, despite all the issues, makes the playoffs with the ghost of Joe Flacco, revives his career. I've been saying this already, but it's kind of funny how Flacco sort of helped save Stefanski's job to this point, and Stefanski kind of helped Flacco get 2 more years out of his career by bringing him in when he did. Yeah. So they kind of mutually helped each other. So 2023 is a great season, and there were some moments I think in that season where you saw Stefanski's coaching prowess on display at times, but I still don't think there's been enough, to your point, G. Bush, of knowing in a crunch time game that really means something to you, like in December or in the playoffs, whether or not he can handle those moments.
Right.
I think that Vikings game 2 weeks ago is maybe the closest we've gotten recently, where it's like, what do you do when you have the ball with 4 minutes to go and you have a chance to try to pick up a first down and run the clock or give it up to your defense?
Right.
We haven't seen it.
It's a tough one because I in that situation, I'm like, be aggressive. But from Kevin's standpoint, I also understand where you're like, I got this great defense, I'm going to count on them. So that was kind of like he kind of got screwed by his defense, unfortunately. But it's a tough. That one's a tough one, but I think that's maybe the closest example we've had to him in one of those situations, and he kind of was more conservative about it.
I don't have confidence that he wouldn't screw up, but I don't know that he's definitely would be the reason they'd lose.
Oh no, it's the different ways he screws up. So he has.
There's a lot of ways he screws
that's
up.
Clock management. So then the next week, going into Pittsburgh, we just talked to Ross, and he inexplicably does not give his tackle, who's garbage, any help,
that's
and then
true.
throws the ball 58 times.
It makes no sense. And this is the second time we've seen that at Pittsburgh. I brought up the Baker thing a couple of years ago.
And Baker called it out.
Spencer,
no Quinshawn near the
red
goal
zone.
line in the red zone.
That's where I was going, Spencer. We had seen through the early parts of the season that we've got something with Quinshawn Judkins. We have something. Pittsburgh saw the same thing, and they said, okay, we're just gonna take that away. I can't remember a time when I've seen an offense throw their hands in the air any quicker in a game that wasn't out of control. It's not like they were down 21 points and they had to throw the ball all over the place. They didn't. But they clearly made the decision middle to late first quarter, this isn't working, so let's hit the panic button. And that led to 58 dropbacks compared to 17 handoffs. Yeah. And the other thing, to your point, and this is what I thought I would see more of when it came to Kevin Stefanski. The tag was great with offense. I don't know if we're going to go as far as saying offensive guru, but great with offense. I watch Kansas City. I watch Detroit. Now, the problem with Detroit is some of their creative plays are illegal. Dan Campbell ran one Sunday, and I'm standing up going, oh, my God, that's genius. Well, it wasn't legal. He's got to stop first. He did that a couple of years ago on a tackle-eligible play. That it wasn't, whether or not he reported was an issue. But where's the creativity? To the point on the Vikings, they need a first down late in the game, and you win the game. it's so imperative that you've got something to pull out of your playbook. Something like Andy Reid. The other day they put trips to the left and the little drag route at the goal line.
Yeah, but Jay,
he's wide open.
If
Where
those
are those
things
plays
don't
for
work,
us?
if those things don't work, then you're the first one on here killing them.
Bull, his trick plays are end arounds with guys that shouldn't be running end arounds.
Because
that's not creative. That's stupid.
You're bringing up Kansas City and Detroit. To be fair about it, they got way more talent than the Browns.
Kansas City's not dripping with talent at wide receiver. What they did, it was a concept. They flooded the left with 3 wide receivers. There were more guys there than the
Browns don't even have 3 wide receivers. You just said they're the worst wide receiving core in the league.
The Browns sort of ran it, but Isaiah Bond forgot to turn his head around. It was the same play. It was the same little drag at the goal line.
Well,
ours bounced off our receiver's helmet. In Kansas City's case, I just don't see any creativity at all.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a balance between, right, like both your points, where it's like, on one hand, they don't have the talent to do some of these things, 100%. But I also think Kevin Stefanski's measured against these other great coaches, right? The Andy Reids, the Kyle Shanahans, the Sean McVays. And when you see those guys coach in those moments, sure, maybe they have more talent. But I think you're right, Jay. Like, you see more creativity on certain things. You see them being aggressive to pick up those first downs. How many times does Andy Reid go out there like 4th and 3 in a crucial situation, doesn't even hesitate, runs the play, and it's this brilliantly executed. I mean, he did it against the Browns in the playoffs in 2020 when Kevin Stefanski was the coach. Like, so I think you're right where there's some of that lacking, and I don't know how to like figure out the balance between like how much of that is I don't trust my personnel, I don't trust the guys that I have, I don't trust my offensive line, and just him not necessarily knowing what to do in that moment. That's kind of the thing that's hard to decipher right now with this team. But, you know, I do think with the point on Quinshawn too, in his Zoom press conference on Monday, it felt like he had regret over not using him in those situations. He was asked point blank by like, why didn't you use Quinshawn there? Like, what's the reasoning behind that? And he basically was like, no, you know, he always says the line of we got to be better. But the fact that he said no and was like, you know, we got to be better there. I got to, you know, coach better there and draw the right thing. Like, he kind of alluded to the idea that I think he looked back and watched the tape and felt like, I probably needed to use him more. I probably didn't need to get away from the run as quickly as I did. It is a serious problem about him this season. Yes.
Well, I got to look, man. Let me check my wrist out, bro. I'm
just trying to show off the watch.
Let me see. Listen, that boy's shining. That boy's glittering. By the way, when is we getting the Shedeur Sanders? That's all we want to really know. We just waiting our time. When are he playing?
No, we want to know if you were on the conference call also for Jeff Shadell's cat incident. Were you on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you hear about this?
Yeah,
we'll play it later.
Oh, it's
yes.
That was Monday.
Browns thing.
That was Monday when you said my cat ran across the
and Kevin said, that's not very believable.
Yeah. What is your thought on Shedeur, by the way?
So, I mean, I'm a Shedeur guy.
Yeah.
I think he is talented. You know, I understand why there's probably some things that scouts looked at and said, like, you know, he's not the first round talent that some projected him to be. But I did think he probably should have gone earlier in the draft than he did. In terms of when we see him, though, like I think this is probably a longer leash for Dylan for a little while. I heard some people already throwing out like, they should just make the change this week. Why not? Like, or next week, you know, give him another game. I just think that's probably too soon. We know they love Dylan Gabriel. They drafted him in the 3rd round. He was the guy they really had great conversations with and had their eye on during the pre-draft process. So to me, it feels like he's probably in that spot for a while, and then they'll get to a point where they kind of decide, all right, it's time to see what Shedeur Sanders can bring to the table. And I would assume they go about it in a way with Dylan where it's like, hey, man, you know, this isn't like a benching. This is just our season's pretty much in the toilet. Like, how can we're just trying to evaluate everybody here.
See what it is.
But I think they probably ride it with Dylan for a while. And anybody who's trying to make the change now, like to a degree, it seems a little fast. Like, and again,
then you got to go back to him if it doesn't work.
Well, and like I just said, like how he just had a game where I said, like, the problems were well beyond just him in that game against Pittsburgh. So you're 2 games in, and you're like,
he's the scapegoat?
Yeah, he's the scapegoat for this terrible
Ross
offense.
Tucker said the same thing.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. I think you got to give him some time to sort of learn and grow in the offense first. So,
Earl, if you hear me, go ahead and clip that and make it. Spencer German says Shedeur Sanders is playing after the No, I'm playing. Go ahead.
I mean, I'd love to see it. I want to see Shedeur.
I think we'll see it because of an injury.
Yeah.
This guy's not going to last
No
the
chance.
season. He's undersized, and he took 16 or 17 hits on Sunday. if you keep doing this madness,
right.
he's going to get hurt, and we'll see him.
Spencer, before you go, who wins the next coach fired bowl this weekend?
Oh man, I'm sitting here today on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm leaning the Browns, but man, is this game going to be such an indictment on the state of both these teams?
Oh, yeah.
That's the dysfunction bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at a point where like if the Browns do lose on Sunday, I don't think they fire Kevin Stefanski the next day. I think that Jimmy has him once. If he's going to fire anybody, I think he's going to wait till after the season. But like the Dolphins are at a point with their team where it's mass chaos. Like
Their
if
quarterback's
the
publicly
Dolphins
questioning
lose,
leadership.
right? If the Dolphins lose, I think Mike McDaniel's absolutely getting fired. on
We
Monday.
said the same thing.
So
Yeah.
if the Browns somehow lose to that team, I think that really starts like I know it's already getting kind of hot on Kevin, but I think like that
Another
really
level.
because that's going to be a statement to like this team is in turmoil, they're about to implode, and you lost to that team
At home.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good look.
Before we say goodbye to Spencer, because I know we got to do super chats, I want to defend his athletic reputation.
Okay.
Dude ran track at John Carroll.
Well, I'm not saying
only
he's,
for a year.
I don't care.
Only for a year.
I don't care.
Listen, I'm not saying that he wasn't necessarily a bad athlete. I'm
Right.
saying he's not big enough to play middle linebacker. That's
Ran
it.
the 4x4.
I
right?
trust me. I'd
did, yeah.
much rather be his size
Yeah.
than mine.
Hey, man.
But
Who would've
that
known?
became my favorite for a
I'm
while.
the dad of a college track coach. I have to know these
There you
things.
go. For a while, I hated the 400, and then we got indoor track my junior year,
Yeah.
and they needed a fourth person on their
they threw you in
4x4, and I was like, all right,
It's
I
a
guess
fun
I'll do
event.
it. And then it became my favorite race.
It's
It's hard, but it's fun.
It's a great event to watch.
UCSS is
dude.
the home of white athletes. Let's go.
That's right. We got
That
more
is-
than
we
most
keep
shows.
'em.
Yeah.
That is Spencer German. Check him out on the
Spencer, thanks,
Locked On
Spencer. Good
Browns
stuff.
podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Speaking of
And there he
Locked
is.
On,
I
we
killed
have
him.
a
Gotcha.
Saw
ad
another one,
from
though.
a Locked On
about
Broncos
that?
host.
On your clipboard.